IVM.
Since last 1 month, I've been working rigorously on the expansion of my Kinetic Living boutique, it's expanding from the first floor to the second floor as well, and now we're going to be having a lot more classes in terms of barbell lifting and in terms of reformer Pilates. So I'm so excited, but it's been constant coordination with the painter, contractor, suppliers, vendors, blah blah blah. And along with all of that, I've taken 2 other projects. And trust me, this is not even considering this podcast project. But I feel awesome and I feel so charged. And some of the days I'm dying, honestly. But most of the times I'm super motivated. And you know why? Because every project is so different from the other in terms of the role, in terms of the people that I'm meeting, and in terms of the scope of the project. And you know what? I feel this entrepreneurial streak that I'm on is because I have this major kida of pushing myself into these uncomfortable and unknown spaces. And it's not just to earn $1 million, but if you tell me learn 1 million skills, hell yes. And to be honest, I feel I'm a mix of type A and B personalities, and my friends will vouch for those because you have to see me when I'm drunk. I'm totally type B, by the way. But I was thinking that why do I thrive on this high that I get when I push myself? And I discovered that when I try to get into the depth of an unknown subject, I will discover my own traits, and those might be superficial or those might be deep. Those might be self-made or imbibed, or they could be completely radical or conforming to social norms. It's like me trying to live in a strange place. Or that's why I love travel so much, because I'm living in a completely different culture. I love learning new languages. I used to learn Japanese when I was in college, and I had to stop because then I started working and then everything started coming down. But I started learning and writing Japanese. So guys, try traveling to a strange place. Try living amidst a different culture. Learn a new language. Try something completely new. And maybe you will fail. But borrowing from one of my favorite bands, Above and Beyond, if you don't play, you never win. And that is the essence of self-discovery. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Kinetic Living Podcast, guys. Today we have a guest who's one of my best friends, and she is a rocking dancer and a yogini for almost 10 years now. Stay tuned until the end of the episode, where I'm going to be suggesting some great snacks for that afternoon 4 p.m. slump and some tips for spine mobility. So let's get into the episode. Today I have someone with me who happens to be my colleague, but at the same time my teacher as well. She is also a beautiful, beautiful soul, and she's a Hatha and Ashtanga Yoga teacher. She's the founder of the Tangerine Arts Studio, a space where yoga, dance and meditation have been combined beautifully together. She is a trained Arangetram dancer. So that's Bharatnatyam for those of you who don't know. And currently she is dabbling in contemporary and hip-hop and even performing in those styles. Please welcome Tanvi Mehra. Hi, Tanvi.
Hi, Urmi. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. And as dearly as I like to call you, Tan, so I'm just going to call you that throughout the show.
Please do.
And I'm so excited because, you know what, I realized that before you were coming here that how we met, right? Maybe 3 years ago, where you called me and you said you wanted to. This is where the Kinetic Living group session started.
Correct. And I remember you were traveling at the time,
Yeah.
and I kept trying to chase you down. I was like, where is this Urmi? I think you were in Bhutan.
I was in Nepal,
yeah.
and I was traveling for Kailash Mansarovar, so my phone was off.
Correct, yeah.
And that is a rarity. And I remember my battery had died and I had not bothered to charge it. And then the moment I start my phone and I get like messages from you, And that was amazing, right?
Yeah, and that's where it kicked off our long friendship.
Yes. So tell me, I know you wanted a Pilates teacher at that point.
Correct.
But do you, because you have a space where you invite teachers to teach there. And you are a person with a lot of energies as well, as I've come to know from of you since so many years. How do you decide that a place has nice energies or you feel the vibe? And the same with people. How do you choose your teachers in a certain way? Can you tell me something?
Yeah, so basically, there's so much going on right now in terms of activities. So, of course, stuff like yoga, dance, these are things that have been existing for a while. And, of course, within those fields as well, there's so many different styles.
Correct.
And, of course, Pilates, I feel, was something that was very important for us to incorporate in the studio because I feel like it was one of those activities that was here to stay. It wasn't one of those, okay, let's just have fun with it for some time and let it leave. And I kind of really believe in the philosophy that Pilates also like follows. So I think it was very important for me to find the right teacher, and it's a lot of referencing, like, when someone's telling me, oh, this is the person you need to have, and she's brilliant or he's brilliant, and I kind of go as per that because the people who tell me are also the people who I trust. But of course, once I meet someone and talking to them is one thing, but when I watch them or if I even am around them in a class, and I usually do a class with all my teachers.
I remember the first class I took. You were
so I I'm sold once I'm with them. Not that I have to decide who's the best teacher. It's not about who speaks the best. It's just about passion. So I think passion is the word that I think I look for. So even if someone has broken English, speaks in Hindi, I don't have a problem because honestly, my gurus are, a lot of my gurus back even in Mysore, my guru, his English is not exactly the best, but like they are people who I can look up to at any point in time and say that this is the person I want to be like or aspire to be like. So for me, I think it's passion and purely experience driven. So it's always nice to have people like that in the studio.
That's lovely. And as you're talking, I've just like, you are the first person on this show who's also a teacher.
Oh, lovely.
And so that is the common thread we also have. And we have such a big connection in terms of so many common points.
Correct.
And today, even if Kinetic Living has its own space, I'm so happy to have met you because you've supported me so much. I remember first year we started with Pilates.
Correct,
and then second we went on to, not only I told you, Tanvi, let's put up a pull-up bar.
Correct.
And you were totally game for it. And then I could teach a lot more functional training workouts as well.
Yes.
And just to talk a little bit about us as colleagues, right?
Yes.
And how important it is to feel for what we actually do. Because you said passion, that's where I thought about this from. And can you tell me, in your life, how do you balance that with your own practice? Your love to teach yoga and your love for doing yoga?
That's a very good question because I think that's a balance that is very hard to strike sometimes, especially when you become busier and you have opportunities to teach and you have opportunities to do so many other things and you're running a space. But I feel in the 4 years of running Tangerine...
Hashtag entrepreneur, guys.
Very difficult tag to have, I have to say. I think I prefer yoga teacher or dance teacher or dancer. But I think because of the studio, I had to don that hat, wear that hat of the entrepreneur, and just that balance between entrepreneur, yoga teacher, yoga practitioner, dance teacher, dancer, wife, all of that. Daughter-in-law, sister, mother, all not mother yet, but daughter, yes. So basically, okay, let's not get into that topic. That's beside this, on the side. Okay, we'll talk. Correct. So basically, I feel like one is it's like the yoga actually has to translate into all of these things. So that's the thing, right? Like yoga is so asana driven and it is so limited nowadays with people to just the physicality of it. That often at times when I am doing all of these things, I'm like, am I really practicing what I'm preaching or even what I've learned? Because okay, I can teach you how to headstand, but that's not really yoga. And the true yoga is how you balance everything. But I feel it's great because over time in the last 4 years, I've made my mistakes, which is over teaching, getting over like a lot of fatigue.
You've spoken so much about it.
And I think fatigue for me, as for me, is like the most dangerous disease out there, and I think I've also experienced it.
Yeah.
And I think now it's come to a point where I know where I have to say no, and I have to like choose my battles and realize what I want to do and how much I want to teach and how much I need to spend time on me.
Correct.
So I feel like I'm at a point where I feel like, even like, for example, if a class gets cancelled, of course there are rules and regulations for the students, but even if it gets cancelled, it's a great time for me to slot in something that I need to do, whether it's just like, even if it's just lying in Shavasana, it's just some time off for myself, which gives me good energy for the other class or for whatever else I have to do.
Correct.
So I think, to answer your question, because this is just me talking about balance, I have to say that I made a lot of mistakes. I felt very spent a year or so back. I felt really tired, and I felt like I wasn't growing. I was in a rut, even in terms of teaching or growing myself, which maybe people don't realize, but we as teachers feel depleted.
Absolutely.
And I feel like when I eat, every time I go back to my shala or to my guru, I just feel like I have new source of energy, and also I get a lot of clarity as per what I need to do. So I feel going forward, opportunities will always be there, but to be honest, your own self-growth and practice stands above everything. So I think I'm in that phase right now where I'm really enjoying myself and my training, which is even when it comes to dance. I'm dancing a lot more this year.
Yeah, I've seen so many videos.
Yeah, I think everybody's seeing that, but that's also because I'm investing in me, and I think I've always tried to invest in everything else, and now it's high time I give it back to myself.
Which is great. I'm so happy for that.
Thank you.
But I want to speak about 3 things that you said. Guys, she spoke about having so many hats at one go, and it's not just us as teachers or as coaches. Everyone is juggling between roles at work and in personal lives. It is about how we strike that balance, and also remember that we are going to cry on someone's shoulder and someone else is going to cry on our shoulder, and that person may not be the same. But always remember, you should have people who you can speak to, how you can rely on. And at the same time, understand that you have different roles to play, and at one point there might be one role shadowing over the other.
Correct.
So don't lose your peace of mind over trying to make everyone happy.
Correct.
And like you said, right, that you were investing in others so much that you forgot sometimes that you needed to do that for yourself. And we as teachers, because we are constantly motivating and influencing other people, we tend to forget ourselves. And this is to the teachers, coaches, mentors out there, whether it's physical or mental or academic, is to make sure you're investing in your own self.
Correct.
And the second point that you spoke about is how yoga has become asana driven. And I also see that a lot, and especially with the whole Instagram angle coming in, where people want to just do fancy poses without understanding the basics of it. People who are out there who are beginners, please don't get intimidated with these visuals or even the ability to do that, because I feel if we focus on the basics, eventually they will come to us.
Correct.
And what you spoke about, how yoga to be practiced in your real life, which is the actual balance, and understanding that where you need to step back. And that is the third point I want to say, which I've also learned from my travels and from my own mistakes, is that you will always find something that will make you happy, but you will keep chasing that. But what about your peace of mind? And they both are not the same. We sometimes confuse peace of mind with happiness, and then we are only chasing towards that.
Correct.
And that in fact negates the peace of mind. So like that.
No, I understand. It's actually a very thin line. And because it's such a thin line, people confuse and blur it. But you're right, because peace of mind has, like, for example, I can dance all day long, correct? Like I can go every workshop. But by Monday, I'm so depleted on Saturday, Sunday, if I'm dancing, that I have no energy to give my Monday class or just my Monday routine. So I have to sometimes say, you know what, I love dancing. There are like 5 amazing workshops, but this weekend I need to just take it easy, right? So that's me just relaxing, getting relaxed. And then Monday, I'm back to routine. So you're right, because things that make you happy don't necessarily always give you a piece of, it gives you a high for sure, but it depletes you. And that's what we don't want,
the
right?
balance.
We don't want to be depleted as people.
Correct. Awesome. And since we are talking about reviving and like energizing our own self.
Correct.
I know you love travel a lot and you love food a lot, and both of us have like gone from yoga workshops directly to restaurants and like going and hogging.
Pigs,
So do you want to tell me what kind of what do you like in terms of your palate? What are the places you enjoy? And just to answer my previous question about what attracts you to a space. Let's say you have to make Tangerine 2.0 today. What is the kind of space you would seek?
Okay, so maybe I'll answer your first question, which was the food
And
or travel?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, all my favorite questions lined up. I think the interview will get over here only. I'll only keep talking about food, travel, and space and energies. But yeah. Food, I have to say that we've all been there, done that.
Yeah.
I have to say I've not been there, done that with keto and all of those things, but I'm aware of it, but I guess I never went into extreme diets.
Yeah.
I just created my own diets when I was younger. When I would say I didn't have any information. I was just doing things that, I think this will help me, that will help me. So I made my mistakes where I was misinformed and just did my own thing. I made my mistakes where I was very informed and then also like stayed away from things and all of that.
Got it.
But I have to say that after getting married and being with, I always talk about the both of them because my sister and my husband are very influential in my food habits today as well. Like they both are foodies. They both eat everything, and I have to say that all my friends, like you know who I'm discussing, like are all about health. So I feel like the people you spend time with also influence your food habits and your tastes. But I have to say that having been a health freak myself and having also a taste bud for things now and then for pizzas and ice cream and all that.
I know your love for cheesecakes also.
Yeah, I do like all that,
cool.
but I feel like finally now, I feel I'm finding a balance because earlier I would not touch anything. Like I would go to a party and I'll be like, no, I can't eat this. Or if I go for a dinner, I would say I don't want that. But I feel now, I just feel like anyways 5 to 6 days, or mostly honestly all through my month and week, I'm eating right. So every now and then when I go to someone's house, I don't I don't wear that fuss hat where everybody has to feel so scared that I'm coming for dinner and what will she eat, and of course people still do that, but I do now have a samosa or I'll have a pizza or whatever, but it's just that I don't eat that all the time.
Got it.
So I feel like I don't like to be branded as vegan or this or that. Having said that, I am for most part vegetarian, but I'll be very honest, like every now and then I feel tempted to eat fish, I eat it. And if I'm traveling to Rome, if I'm going to Italy, I am going to have a gelato or I'm going to have cheese if I'm going to France. So you know what I'm to say, like I feel like when you go to a place, another thing which links the travel is that when you go to a place,
you have to experience
it. And food is one of the biggest ways. This is my sister's thing to say to me, and I remember in Spain I used to not eat potatoes at that point in time, and she was like, Tan, we're in Spain, how can you not eat this and how can you deprive yourself? And then I started eating it and nothing happened. It was just in my head, and once you get out of your head and you experience everything, you realize that you let go on so many levels. So I feel again there's a bit of yoga in there because a lot of people who do yoga also very caught up in what's right and what's wrong and the routine and the discipline.
But that in itself is negative.
So I feel like adjusting, adapting is what I really want. I feel these are the words I really like: adjust, adapt, accommodate, because I feel like these are 3 words that people don't really follow when it comes to yoga. I feel discipline is a great term. We all can be. I know it's difficult, but we all can be. But adjusting, accommodating, and adapting is very difficult.
Important.
So I feel with my diet, I feel like I've adjusted to the fact that okay, this is what I eat, but every now and then I will go and have my cheat meal, and I'm not branding myself as anything because I'm a bit of everything.
Just to stop you right there, guys, she said some amazing words here: adjust, adapt, and accommodate. And this is whether. If you're doing this already with your life, then trust me, you're already practicing yoga in a way. You don't have to be on a mat doing asanas just to be able to practice all these things.
I would say, in fact, the people who are adjusting, accommodating, adapting are doing more yoga than the people on the mat, So I would say
that is also to be kind to yourself.
Absolutely.
That, when we build these rigid rules around ourselves, I feel not only are we preventing the experience from entering our lives, but also we are closing our own eyes to so many things. Many things.
Especially when it comes to travel. I have to say, I'm not saying that I have to eat I'm not going to have crocodile meat and all that if I ever go somewhere, and that's the thing. But I'm just saying that every now and then having cheese or having that, it doesn't hurt you.
It's not going to make you fat, or it's not going to make you, heavier on the scale. It's about doing that and in balance, like you said.
And not overthinking it. So I think that answers your thing about food. Like I've had my journey with food, but now I've made peace with it thanks to the people who've kind of balanced out the the OCD in me of, I can't do this, I can't do that. And I have to say that I don't enjoy being around that kind of energy because and I know that I was that energy.
Understood.
So I know now how it was when people were around me. So I don't want to be that person for myself. So that's someone I've left and shed in the past. You know? So yes, to more food.
Yes.
So and as far as energies, should I come to the question of space goes? I just feel like for me, open spaces are very important. Like for me, windows, trees.
Same here.
Like for me, that is my biggest. Like you can get me into the most broken down home, but if it has a window and a tree outside, I'm sold. Like even if I have to spend 5 months making that place, I don't mind as long as my tree and my window are there. I think that's what convinced me for Tangerine as well. Like if you must have seen the before and after. I have a video where it's so dilapidated, it was so like run down. But the moment I saw that big mango tree out, and I had this vision of I'm going to open up the windows, I said this is the place that I want to be. So if there is a Tangerine 2.0, there has to be windows and trees around. So nature has to be there.
That's great. That's awesome. So I want to come to you as we spoke about challenges. As you would feel as a teacher. But tell me, because you're teaching yoga and Hatha yoga, how is there any way that you try to introduce any kind of variety or novelty while teaching your classes to either privates or group classes?
So when you say novelty, you mean like what's going on
in
now?
terms of variation that you introduce to your students? How do you keep them challenged?
Correct.
How do you help them find their balance but still make sure that they're growing at all times?
So I think with yoga, again, there's so many divisions, right? Like there's so many different styles of it. But having said that, again, traditional yoga is traditional yoga. There is no replacing that. But to make things fun and not so repetitive, because a lot of repetition is what makes you what you are today.
Correct.
But I think with people, their patience levels and everything differ. So they want quick results, right? So I think it's just to keep things fresh in terms of sequencing. I think I really like sequencing because for me, it's like a dance, right? Like for me, if I'm making one step, the other step, and I make a routine, I feel like the same for yoga. But with yoga, it's so much more. Of course, with dance also, there's so much alignment, and you're up and you're down. There are levels. People, lots of teachers talk about levels and texture, even in dance. But like the same thing is with yoga. But then there's so many things about counterbalancing, breath. Maybe like taking their heart rate up and down. Like I just feel like it's so much fun to kind of like an artist playing around with a paintbrush, right? Like you keep like painting a different picture. But I feel for me, I always take off from the energy. So if I know that today they're like, let's do this, let's do that. And I'm like, okay, chalo, let's take this energy and let's give them a challenge. So, it's always that. And I just feel when you have the vocabulary, like when you have, for example, like I said, paint, if you have so many colors, you can paint a beautiful picture. So when you have the vocabulary of good like working experience in terms of asanas, you know your job well, then you can really play and mix and piece it all up,
So you're talking about the whole, like painting a picture basically, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying that when you have such a lot of vocabulary of asanas and pranayams and meditation and whatnot, you can merge, mix and make whatever. But in terms of variation, I think I like to touch upon, sometimes I do a yin yoga class. Nowadays I've been using a chair a lot, maybe some props and bolsters. Then I do like every now and then throwing in like a meditation, lots of pranayams. Sometimes it's so funny, sometimes my students just come and talk to me. So I think a lot of it is just about connecting with the person, and that's when they know that they're understood. Like for example, like with my students, how it is with us also. At the end, we are friends, but even with students, you are so connected. Maybe not in a group class. Group class has to flow, but like with a one-on-one, sometimes I literally land up spending 1 hour talking to my students. But I feel even those are great because everyone needs an outlet to speak to kind of vent.
The best person is the coach or the teacher who's helping you.
Someone who provides a safe environment. It could not be, it doesn't have to be me. Maybe they feel safe in the space that they're in. And of course, the fact that whatever is spoken between me and them is between us. So
absolutely.
I
that
feel
trust.
I feel with variation and to inspire and motivate them, you have to just understand them first and then give them a taste of everything. But having said that, honestly, I don't like to go towards things that I don't know. Which is, if I know yoga, I will teach yoga. If I know a bit of pranayams, so I believe if I know one thing, I'm going to teach you that. And yoga is such a huge discipline. So there's so many aspects to it. So instead of going around taking from other things, I just like to stick to the practice itself and maybe vary it with the styles. Like probably once in a while yin yoga, maybe some partnering with the yoga.
Nice.
Maybe doing kind of stuff like that, which is also a nice change in the normal.
What do you think of power yoga?
I think I've always told you this, that I find it mindless yoga. So there's nothing artistic about it. I mean, there is something called artistic power yoga, and I just find that anything that is done so fast, you've lost the whole essence of it. And especially with yoga, you can't go so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Tanvi, I want to talk about what you said about the ability to talk to your students and how they feel comfortable to talk to you. And guys, I've said this in my previous episodes as well, is that choose someone who is not going to judge you, who's not going to make you feel inadequate when you walk out of the class. And maybe you've had a bad day and maybe you have not been able to do as much as you would do normally. But that person should be able to push you in the safe zone and at the same time be there, and you should be able to trust them to fail in front of them, right?
True.
And that's why you will also agree with me that many of your students will become your very good friends as well.
Correct.
And the second thing that you were telling me about mindfulness during your yoga practice. Guys, I would like to tell you that yes, sometimes we think, oh, if I'm not doing yoga, I can do everything else very fast and I'd rather not pay attention to it. We find yoga boring sometimes because I know so many people who tell me that I find yoga is too slow paced or it's boring for me. I feel the moment we start becoming a lot more aware of our posture or whatever is it that we are doing in our exercise, we will in a way be practicing mindfulness, and that in itself will prepare us in the future whether we will take to yoga or not per se with respect to the asana practice. So guys, make sure you find a coach, whether it is that you're doing functional training, you're doing Pilates or you're doing yoga, but make sure you're doing it mindfully and understanding the nuances of the posture.
Correct.
And that is what will make your progress much faster.
Agreed.
And Tanvi, tell me about like I know because I started taking yoga sessions from you when I got to know about my scoliosis. And guys, in the recommendations I am talking about how you can maintain spine mobility, but you really helped me with my spine mobility as well because of all the functional training. The back has become stiff. What does yoga stand in terms of helping you as a dancer?
Okay.
Like I know yoga helps me a lot when it comes to training. How does yoga help you with respect to becoming a better dancer or going for hikes, something like that?
I like how you tied that question together. So with scoliosis, it's something that has happened over time, right?
Yeah.
And now yoga is really helping you and you've realized the importance of it. And having said that, one would never know that you have it because you so beautifully have applied the practice and you've not allowed the scoliosis to increase yearly. I think for everyone who doesn't know what scoliosis means, you can just Google it, but it's a spinal curve condition. It can go either ways. There are 3 different kinds of scoliosis. But not getting into that, but I would like to say that in your situation, it's something that just happened. You didn't invite it. And having said that, every now and then when there is an injury, you also can use yoga to heal and help that. So that is something like a condition like scoliosis, something that has happened and yoga is helping you with it. And injuries are something that of course happen along the way probably because of whatever you did, you know. And so same with dancers. I spend so much time with dancers. There are a lot of my dance teachers are my friends. And when I sit with them after workshops, all I see is them holding their back or holding the hips or just like in pain lying on the floor, and I'm like, what's going on, guys? And they're like, you have no idea, we're ruined, you know. And you know, you see their energy during the workshop and it's brilliant because they put so much of them of their energy, their passion and everything into dancing. But I've seen almost every one of them, and they're very young dance teachers in my studio, and they're all, and I'm not going to name names, but almost every second one of them has an injury or has really, really weak something. And I keep telling them, well, how are you training your body to rise up to the fact that you're training for so many hours or teaching for so many hours? And their answer is gymming or whatever. Maybe the gymming that they do is not the kind of gymming that they require, or probably the mindlessness gymming. And probably they've not focused on certain areas of their body that need the focus. Especially when you're teaching for so many hours and you're teaching that much, you have to have open hips. So you have to release your hips and your spine, because the spine takes such a big toll as a teacher when you're teaching dance and stuff like that.
Standing, I feel.
Standing. And I just feel like, I think in general, you and I both will agree with this, because we both teach so many people, that the biggest problem area are the weight bearing areas, and especially the hips and the back, right? So hips and back is a common, every second person having a problem. And of course, your shoulders, neck, and of course, like I said, everything that's weight bearing. So knees, ankles, all of these places. But mainly you and I will both agree when we say that hips, back, and your shoulders and neck are the delicate regions for people, because that's obviously where all the weight is. And of course, the endless sitting and endless all of that makes your glute muscles weak and all of that. So why I'm saying all this is because when I now see my teachers, I feel so bad, because they're so talented, they're so young, and they're already starting to feel so much pain in their bodies, which should not happen at such an early age, or it should not even happen later on. But it's a great time for them to realize that the exercising that they're doing has to be the one that aids and helps them in their growth process as teachers and as dancers. So having said that, yoga really helps, because again, it gives you such, as a dancer and as a, as even a coach for everything else, you're quite aware of your body. So if you take that same awareness into the practice, you can start to learn so much more. Like, for example, a lot of the dance teachers don't know how to breathe much. So even breathing is something that people have forgotten or don't even know how to do. I wouldn't say forgotten, because nobody taught them any better, because we were not told how to breathe, because that's something that comes so naturally. But a lot of people breathe wrong or breathe shallow, and that's a very big reason why a lot of the weaknesses in the body also arise.
So guys, I want to talk about what she said earlier with respect to the workouts not matching what the teacher actually is doing in their as a job or as their daily lifestyle. So make sure that whatever is it that you're doing in terms of your livelihood, your workouts should complement and supplement that and not be against that. Like, I know a lot of people, again, I don't have anything against CrossFit, but if you know that you have a hectic day ahead, would you be going and doing 5 days a week intense workouts which will keep you tired during the rest of the day? No. You pick a workout that's going to energize you rather than just burn calories.
Deplete you, right?
Another thing which you said about the hips and the back and all the load bearing joints. Now guys, your human body is made in such a way that your ankles and your hips and your mid back is supposed to be more mobile, whereas the knees and the lower back is supposed to be more stable. But nowadays, because we are sitting a lot, or if we are training, we are not stretching enough, or rather, let me put it that way, we are not countering with movements like yoga or stretches, we are actually making the joints of your ankle and your hips tighter, which is forcing the lower back and the knees to become more hypermobile. And that is also causing a lot of backache to many people. And regarding, I wanted to also know, what about you personally? Like, how do you complement, or how do you, where does yoga and dance fit together like a puzzle for you?
I think it's nice that you came back to me, because for me, if you know me, I'm a very excited personality. I mean, even when I talk quite fast, but the moment I start teaching, you'll hear a very different voice and a very different zone, because I've entered that space of calm, right? So I think I love that about yoga, because when I dance also, I have that energy and passion of a dancer, right? Like, you're all up there and you're giving yourself, you're giving your best, and you have that attitude and you have that passion, and you're in the character. You're in the character. But to come out of that character takes a lot of time sometimes, especially when you've come from a high of a good workshop. Like, even if you didn't come out, or even if someone didn't hoot for you, the fact is that you're dancing, you're releasing a lot of, endorphins and this and that. And when you come out, you're on this kind of a high, how it is. So in order to balance that high, I'm just so happy that I have my practice, or I even have the tools of my practice, because to sleep after a dance workshop for me is very difficult, because I'm just like, oh God, I'm just so excited and I'm just so happy, and it's a great space to be in. But I have to say again, it's a negative place to be in, because too much of an excitement, too much of a high, as we both know, also depletes you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember when I was a professional dancer, and after every show, we would be on adrenaline all all the night.
Could you sleep? No, right?
No, we would go party actually.
Yeah.
We would just go and party, and we would dance till like 2 a.m. till all that wore off.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then we would sleep.
So you need something that will counter. Like I really like what you said earlier, which is the counterbalancing and counteracting, and I feel that's what yoga does for me, right? Like even when I'm back on my bed, I just have to be like, okay, Tanvi, calm down now. Just, let's focus on the breath, let's fall asleep. Because what happens is every night I'm up at that time at 3 o'clock listening to music, dancing, then my yoga the next morning, because I teach every morning, early morning, it gets affected, right? So somewhere I have to like then squeeze in my hours of sleep in the afternoon and the whole routine breaks.
Correct.
So I think that really has helped me as a person, because I am that kind of person who is more excited and like all the time ready to do everything, and let's do this adventure and let's do this, let's do that. But I feel I can also be very detrimental because I'm always on the go and not wanting to rest. So it's like the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. I feel with yoga it's like that. With dance it's always one end, and with yoga it's always the other end. So for me, I think mentally and emotionally it's really helped to calm my nerves. And just generally, of course, as I feel like the stretches I've done as a dancer, and I have been trained in a very different the way yoga teachers and gurus have taught me, because I've realized that I never really understood my body as a dancer as much as obviously I've understood as a yoga teacher.
And we've heard of so many stories where people have either been injured in any sports or even in dance and then they've taken to yoga.
Correct.
So definitely it's one thing that I really value as a skill or as knowledge, and I feel it's there for everyone, and it can be scaled according to their levels.
Correct.
So guys, when she spoke about calming her nerves, so also remember, if you are someone who's lazy and who's feeling lethargic all the time, it could be couple of reasons. Of course, your nutrition has a big role to play in it, but also it could be that your breathing is wrong and it's not energizing you correctly.
Correct.
And that is where you could start by doing a lot more active version of a yoga where you're doing more vinyasa.
Correct. So that the warm,
like Surya Namaskars.
And Surya Namaskars are the best thing to warm.
And also a small trivia, guys, which I learned in my recent retreat in Goa that I had gone in April, is that your Ashtanga Surya Namaskar A, the dynamic to the static breaths are 1:1. So it makes for an excellent warm-up movement, because the number of breaths that you take while you're in movement and the number of breaths that you're taking during the hold in the downward dog are the same. And whereas in Ashtanga B, which is, you guys should Google Ashtanga A and Ashtanga B Surya Namaskar, in the B it becomes even more dynamic, and that's why heart rate goes gradually higher.
True.
So there is a variation for everyone. So I would encourage you that even if you're training, and I'm someone who trains so hard, I still make sure that I get in at least once a week my dose of yoga in terms of improving my spine mobility and stretches, because it counters all the tension and the intensity in the rest of the week.
Correct.
Thank you, Tanvi, for sharing your routine. That was really good to know. And one last question I wanted to ask you, since both of us are as colleagues, right? How do you see yourself growing as a teacher or someone who is a practitioner of dance or yoga, whichever is it that you want to take ahead? And if it's both, then what would it be?
As in, you mean to say, like what do I see myself in the future?
Yeah, like let's say even just 3 or 5 years down the line. Like, do you see yourself learning more or teaching more formats? Like, how have you thought about anything like that?
To be honest, I don't really think I'm one of those people who just goes by the moment. I don't have this 5-year, 6-year plan. Somehow that kind of scares me.
Yeah,
I love when things just unfold, and when something's meant to happen, it will. But yes, I feel as a teacher, from the very first class that I ever taught till now, there's been so much evolvement in even the way I teach or I practice. And I feel like I found I'm not saying that right now I've evolved completely, but I feel like I found my calling in terms of what I want to do. And I definitely want to be known as a serious yoga teacher, and not just one who you go to for your simple, like, okay, people come for weight loss, and I understand it's a very common thing. Okay, I'm coming to yoga for weight loss, but I think recently, in fact, one of my teachers just said that you can be two kinds of teachers, and one is the one who gives information and the one who gives transformation. I think I definitely want to aim to be the one who's who's helping my students transform in more than just their physical body,
absolutely.
but mainly a lot of their mental and emotional body, which is what brings me to medical yoga. And I feel like that's something that really excites me, because I feel like there's so much instant gratification when you see someone who's in a lot of pain in a week or two just come back saying the pain is no more, and they didn't have to go to a doctor or a medicine or a tube or a spray for that. And I just want people to realize that they can achieve all of that without having to go through medicine. So yoga as medicine is something that I really am keen on taking forward. And yes, the transformation teacher is who I really want to be.
That's amazing. Tell me, what's your favorite place for travel? Like, not the next one that you want to go, but all-time favorite.
I mean, in terms of city, I love London. London is where I studied as well. So that's something that, and I have been to New York now, and maybe I haven't been for as long. I studied in London, but there's always this thing of New York, or who likes London and who likes New York. And I have to say that I've decided London for me. So for me, my favorite city is London. I love Italy. I feel like that's a place that I could easily shift to because I love beaches and stuff like that. But when it comes to yoga and like maybe a future career, or maybe just staying close to home, I would love to be in Mysore. I love Mysore. It's a green city. It's a city that sleeps early, wakes up early, all yogis, lots of parks, everything that's lacking in Bombay. And closer home outside India, I would say I would love to be in, as cliche as it sounds, I love Bali. I think Bali is lovely. It's green. It has so much amazing produce in terms of food, such a lot of yoga practitioners, and just a lot of nature, And for me, being anywhere where there's nature is where I would like to be. Like, I name the cities, of course, because I'm just telling you what cities I like. But for me, as where I would like to be, it has to be closer home to a sunset, seeing a sunrise, eating from the fields. Like, that's more like me. I think both Rohan and I are going to be farmers in the future. So for me, anything where I could have a little farm in a backyard where I could grow my things, practice, that's my kind of...
And puppies.
Lots of puppies as my baby. So animals. So anything closer to,
that's so
nature,
lovely.
Animals,
That's really lovely. And what about, which is your favorite asana?
My favorite asana. I do like inversions, I have to say. Like, I love that I can be able to...
Can you tell us, like, the physical and the physiological and the hormonal benefits of inversions? Because everyone is doing it, but everyone's doing it for a very different reason.
Correct. I mean, I think everybody's doing it, as you rightly said, for the Instagram
but
pictures.
That's why I want them to know that it has so much more deep benefits that they should try to get it right.
Correct. I think the right form is what is lacking for most people. People are, like, I see a lot of people doing headstands, but you and I both have discussed again how their form, their neck, everything is off. But when you have the perfect alignment, it's like all the chakras, of course, once again aligning. It's like your whole spine completely aligned from your toes to your head, and just that when you're so aligned with gravity, there's weightlessness. You know how when in Buddhism they talk about just that state of nothing or just weightlessness. I think kind of inversions make you feel that, because just for that moment, even you might think, oh my God, I need so much energy or so much strength to pump up and get there. But when you're so aligned with gravity and you're so light,
it feels really weightless.
You feel like you're doing nothing, and it's such a beautiful feeling, because that's when all the tension just drops, and that's when all the circulation just starts moving beautifully through the body. So the heart has to do so much less. So it's really good for people who need more energy, as you said. Like, so many people, like you said, lack energy. And I think it's, again, this B12 and, D3 deficiency, which everyone has nowadays. So I think, again, with all of these things, you can really equalize a lot of the things that are going off in terms of imbalances and stuff like that. But more than anything, it gives you a sense of I can do this. And I think when you have that confidence that I can do this, a lot of the layers shed. The thing of I don't think I can do this. I think self-love and self-doubt is such a big, again, depression cause or anxiety or stress cause. Once you start loving yourself and your body, and you realize that the body is capable of doing so many things.
Much more,
when you mentally tune into it, then you realize that you need to depend less on other things and other people. people. So
and
I
think you also give other things a lot more
chances, correct?
And you take more chances.
Yeah, and you stop doubting other people or judging anyone, because again with yoga, I think it's just very humbling. I think the reason why people should come to it is to get out of their egos and their negativity and depression, and just realize that, you know what, we're all in this together, we're all making mistakes, and we're all falling down, but we're all getting up together, you know. So I think humility is something that's so important, because you're never at the top, and that's what yoga teaches you.
And I've also, like, in couple of inversions like Sarvangasana and stuff, which is a shoulder stand. I've also read that it also regulates your hormones.
Definitely. In fact, they say that has more benefits than even Shishasana, to be honest, because Shishasana not everyone can or should do as well. Like, you know, there are lots of people, like, suppose if you had an eye operation, if you're a heart patient, you can't be in those positions for very long. You can, but not, again, under an expert, maybe for a few moments. But there are so many inversions, not necessarily all have to be the funky ones. But yeah, I do like my inversions, because I do like that sense of, I just feel a lot more, like, I feel like I can do so much physically, and it just gives me a lot of confidence.
Powerful as well, you think?
It is very powerful, but again, like, I feel like, again, the counteracting to it is like when you come down, you have to just drop your forehead down and just be more humble and just have a connection with the earth, which I feel is so beautiful, that yin and yang between strength and between softness, you know. And I think that's what I love about inversions, because the moment you're up, you come down, you're again back to ground level. You know?
And guys, she spoke about the vitamin B12 and D3 deficiency. So if you are someone who is feeling lethargic or tired most of the time, who wakes up tired, who is moody, who is irritable, I would suggest, before doing anything else, don't think there is something mentally wrong with you. First, go and get your blood levels checked, and chances are that you might be deficient in either of these, because nowadays we are spending so much time indoors that we do not get enough sunshine as well. So I mean,
that's a very common thing. I mean, it's every second person has this issue, but having said that, you don't have to again get crazy about shots and all. Sleep well, eat right, you know, work out right, it'll balance out. But eating is a very big role in these deficiencies, you know.
Absolutely. Do you have any superfood that you want to talk about?
You know, I'm not so big on,
which is
like,
your superfood, like not in the traditional.
Sweet potatoes. I mean, I wouldn't say, okay, that's a superfood, but that's something that really gives me the energy. And fruits. I love fruits, and that's something that you can see me eating all the time. Dry fruits, nuts, and sweet potato is something that I just, every day if you give it to me, and I have to say, and I know that you agree with me, idli, dosa, sambar, I feel like this is such an amazing and very, very healthy breakfast to start off with. Again, I was in Mysore, and I remember my guru saying that it's one of the healthiest breakfasts in the world to start off with, you know. So close to home, like, you know, when you eat all these things, and you must give
food. Eating local food is so important.
Local, and also I'm not saying deprive yourself of flavor. Definitely have flavor, but have the things that are not too heavy on the, you know, on your digestive system, because you can't do anything when it's too heavy. And with sweet potato, it's just the perfect amount of
complex carbs,
you know, and that kind of energy you get from it is just next level. Again, it's so easy. You get it, like, you'll see all these men on their carts, just, you know, with the ratalu, the sweet potato, and it's so nice because you don't have to spend some, you know, massive amount on buying it, you know, entering some fancy place.
And in fact, the baked charcoal flavor is so yummy. And guys, you can combine it with a nut butter, and it's the perfect breakfast also.
Yeah, so I feel like, you know, like, it doesn't have to be an expensive thing. Like I said, for me, a quinoa and all of that doesn't really, like, drive me like, oh wow, I'm so excited about it. But yeah, like, I do like my sweet potato, my idli, sambar. If you see, whatever I'm naming is also very cost effective, you know. So it's not like, oh my god, I only eat the most, you know, the most expensive food that everyone can't afford. So everyone should just have things that are, you know, like, yummy, and also, like, easy on the pocket. Because you want to make it an everyday thing. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tanvi.
Yes.
This was awesome.
Thank you for having me, Urmi. I'm sure we can talk for many more hours.
But also, thank you, because this was so much fun, and at the same time, so amazing to have you because of our connection. Right from Kinetic Living to Tangerine to
partying together to dancing together.
Absolutely. So thank you, Tanvi.
Thank you, Urmi.
Thanks, guys. I'm going to go for a short break now. Stay tuned.
Give me a word. या कोई भी लाइन. कुछ भी हो सकता है यार. क्या कहा आपने? टोपी. Okay. Mohan Joshi hated wearing topis. He felt suffocated in them. टोपी पहनते ही उसे स्कूल की याद आती थी. where of course he had no choice but to wear a topi. But जिस दिन pass out हुआ, उसी दिन उसने अपने टोपी का bonfire बना दिया. And since then, he'd never worn a cap or a hat. ना कड़कती धूप में, and not even to बचो from the ठंडी. But from Monday 26th February, Mohan Joshi had to wear a topi all the time. Why? Because if he didn't, everyone around him knew exactly वो क्या सोच रहा था. They knew that he was wondering how the girl in the yellow churidar would look बिना कपड़े के. They knew when he was calling the boss a sadela tomato. They knew everything. पर ये सब हुआ कैसे? अरे भाई, यही तो स्टोरी है. और ये स्टोरी आप ही ने मुझे दिया by giving me the starting word. यही तो है The Croc's Tales. Words आपके, कहानी आपके लिए. Catch the stories on Monday and Thursday on the IVM website, app, and anywhere you get your podcast from. See you soon.
Welcome back. So that was the adorable Tanvi Mehra, and I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation as much as we did. And as promised, I'm back with some gyan on some food snacks. This week, I'm going to be recommending you 3 different types of hummus other than the normal chickpea hummus. So you can try the beetroot hummus, you can try edamame hummus, and red pepper hummus. So this is less heavy on the tummy, but still super yummy. Combine it with raw cucumber, carrot, or tomato sticks, and you have an excellent 4 p.m. snack. Next, I would like to recommend 3 different movements of the spine that you must do because that is absolutely essential for spinal health, which is extension and flexion. That's the second one. And both can be beautifully combined in the cat stretch. And the third one is rotation or twisting. So you could just do a normal torso twist that is rotating from side to side. That is very essential as well. And then the last one is lateral flexion, which is basically side bends. So doing all these 4 movements together on a daily basis, even if you're doing about 5 to 8 reps of each, is going to ensure that your back doesn't get too stiff. And it will also prevent you from lower backache. Third recommendation for this week is actually a place which I would highly recommend you consider while planning your next vacation, and that is called Lake Toba. Lake Toba is the largest lake in Indonesia, and it is the largest volcanic lake in the world, guys. And it is so beautiful. And how I have landed up there is as part of a completely unplanned, unknown backpacking trip which I took when I was studying my MBA in Singapore. And we took a ferry from Singapore to Indonesia, landed there, and they were the 3 most magical days because this island has sulfur springs. It has a mountain called Mount Tele, which you can hike to or you can even bike there. And it has also the lakeside. Highly recommend you visit it. And before you do that, of course, Google it. You will be mesmerized with the pictures. So that wraps up the episode for this week, and hope you really enjoyed it and got a bit of gyan as well. And if you haven't heard the previous episodes, then do check them out on the IVM Podcast app or the website. You can follow us on social media at IVM Podcasts. If you want to get to know me better, then follow Coach-Urmi on Instagram, and you can write to me at urmi@kineticliving.in. Until next time, stay tuned, stay kinetic.
Long, long ago, not in Bethlehem, but in a place nearby, there was a wonderful birth of a huge show, which I like to call Cyrus Says. A show that encapsulates everything in human history, from the first Homo sapien to the last Homo sapien, who's traversed the entire world and then come back to India. This is a show which tells you everything about everything. If you want to know, avoid Google, come to us. It's called Cyrus Says. Get new episodes every Monday and Thursday on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts from. It's simple as A, B, oh God, what comes after that?
Every week comes a show where 3 people come together to tell you about stuff they like. A movie, a TV show, IVM Podcast app to IVM Likes. Batman approves this message. Thank you, Batman.